All right. So, I think what we're going to do is get my audio settings correct for a start. Seems good. Okay, so the theme is space. I've already got a Unity project set up ready to go, and I have been playing with some stuff, but obviously it's a jam, so what we're actually going to use for the jam will be all new content. I've got a lot of errors in my console. So basically, I've got a Unity project already set up with some assets installed. I've got all sky just for some nice skies because the style of game I want, they've got some great skies that go with what I want to do. I've got Aquarius Max's Mega Pack, which is a bunch of cool fantasy type buildings and props and such. Everything else in here is stuff I've been playing with, making terrains and stuff like that, just to have a little mess around. And I've got some textures that I've exported for putting on my terrains. Obviously got a sample scene here which we won't be using, so I might just archive that quickly, since you are no longer allowed. You'll have a new scene. Alright, we've got Amplify Imposters in case I want to do some imposterizing. We've got Vegetation Studio Pro in case I actually put in vegetation, which I'm not sure I'm going to, but if I do, I'm good to go. And also the vegetation engine for similar. We've got Crest for doing some simple water. Asset Manager is just a thing that helps import assets, which I'll mostly be using for audio assets. Hierarchy 2, similarly, that's just what gives me these little icons and stuff in my hierarchy here, so I can see what things are a little bit easier. This is an expansion pack for Game Creator 2, and Game Creator 2, Game Creator here is what I'm going to be using, the visual language that I'm going to be using, because I'm not a coder. I've also got Jenna installed, which I may or may not use if I end up putting in roads and stuff, which I probably will. I'll probably use Jenna to put those in. I've got some Megascan stuff here, but I won't be using any of that in this project because of licensings. Obviously, most of those are licensed for Unreal only, which I don't have, so they were just there for playing around with terrains before I got my own stuff out of Substance. And we've got this renaming plugin, which I've never actually used, but it seems cool. Sometimes you've got to rename a bunch of stuff. I've got Gradient Picker, which I don't know whether I'll be using that either. But, oh, pardon me, it's handy for using with things like Microsplat if you want to make a world gradient. I've got Smart Library installed, which is good for seeing assets without having to fiddle around with Unity's kind of dodgy inspector. And I've got Chronex's volumetric fog. And this is the main reason that I'm going to be using, I'll be building my game as an executable. Normally I'd do a WebGL build for a game jam, but I want to use volumetric fog because I haven't used it in a while and I really like it. It's a very cool fog asset. And down here in packages, we have Microsplat and a bunch of Microsplats modules, which we'll be using for texturing our terrain. And that is pretty much where we sit for Unity. I've also got a whole bunch of audio assets and stuff that I haven't installed into the project. I'll put those in as I need them. I think what I'm going to go with, basically, if I pull up a Photoshop, hopefully there's nothing embarrassing on the front page of my Photoshop. And I should warn you, I am Australian. I will probably swear during these streams, so be warned. All right, good. There's nothing embarrassing there. So if we just make a quick, say, 20 by 20. So what I'm planning on doing is basically, with the theme being space, I don't want to make a space game. I want to kind of make a fantasy RPG kind of deal. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do for the space theme is the idea of combat arenas. I'm sure anyone who's played third-person games or first-person shooters is well aware of what a combat arena is, and maybe adding in a twist like King of the Hill or Capture the Flag kind of game modes where you will capture an area or move something to an area, and that will give you an idea. Pardon me, it's pretty late here. That will give you an idea of capturing space, controlling space, territory control, and I think that fits the space theme. So what I'm probably going to do then is I'm going to make a map, and it'll probably be just a fairly simple island kind of thing. And on that world, I will make some different combat arenas. So if we say our little man starts down here or something, we can have a simple combat arena to start with, like maybe even to start with, we just do a fairly simple square combat arena, put that in early to get people used to the game mechanics, and then maybe we do more of a like pit in the ground kind of deal, and we'll basically work our way around the island. I've sort of got an idea in my mind of what I want the arenas to be, and then assuming that I have enough time, we can have some sort of cool boss arena at the end where you fight a, I don't know, probably use some sort of proto-factor monster. I don't have any of the cool dragon assets, unfortunately. But you know, we'll put something cool at the end if I've got time in the jam to do that. And this should be fairly simple. This means all I need to really do is build a terrain, build around the arenas, however I'm going to do that, set some fairly simple mechanics, I think, particularly if I do King of the Hill. That's really just a timing mechanic, stand in an area and beat off the monsters for, you know, X amount of time. And maybe we put some complications in there where you need to, I don't know, keep some torches alight or something like that. Again, that's a lot of that is probably going to be fairly easy to handle with visual scripting, because it's going to be basically timing based. So I'm primarily an artist, which is why I am not. It's why I'm not a coder, because I'm an artist. It's pretty stupid to say, but it's pretty much how it goes. So I won't be doing any super complicated mechanics, but what I will be doing, hopefully, is pretty art. So the things that I'll be streaming mostly will probably be doing this terrain, which I'll probably do some work on now, even though I'm, oh, geez, super tired. And also I will stream some modeling. I probably won't stream doing UVing and stuff like that because it's super boring and repetitive, but I'll probably stream doing some texturing and stuff like that. I will show some of my coding as far as it goes with visual scripting. Other than that, I mean, I'll do a bunch of streaming, but I'll do it on and off because there'll be some stuff that's just not worth streaming. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, so yeah, that's basically. I'm not even going to save this image. That's basically what we're going to do. Is actually, I will save this image because I might want to. use it for documentation later. Oh, pardon me. Make a new folder and we will call it Game Jam 4. And we will make PNG and we will call this Island Concept. Beautiful. And we can get rid of Photoshop for now because I'm not going to need that for a while. And I can also get rid of Unity for now. But I will keep it up for a moment because it will help me figure out. I have a widescreen monitor, so my Unity, see it's actually gone off the edge there. Let's get that back where it needs to be in the stream window. Should have probably sorted this out first. All right, beautiful. So basically this window, this is only taking up, half of my monitor. It's sort of sitting right in the middle of my monitor. So I've got windows off to the side, got my Discord and stuff all off to the side. So it can be a little bit annoying sometimes to make sure that stuff is actually in the stream window. As you can see here, World Creator wants to start off to the side. Let's pull that up. And I won't actually make this fill the whole window. So I'm going to use World Creator to create the terrain. I'm just going to start with basic nothing. And we will go from there. Okay. So what I'm kind of going to want, I think, let's approach this. Let's assume that we are doing pretty much what I did in my description, and my character will start at one corner of the train, sort of go around and then end in a boss arena. So I'm going to change the resolution on this terrain just so we can get a little bit more detail in there. I'm going to change the biome to an island. Now, I haven't used this version of World Creator a whole lot. They've only just released the 2021 update, which is a significant change. But I've used it a tiny little bit when I've been playing around with my test build. Let's put that on fast rendering just so we don't have to wait, and move the sun so that shadows aren't so annoying. You have your shadows go off that way, that'll be a bit easier. Still a bit bright. And reduce your strength a bit. Beautiful. All right. I want to raise my island up a bit so that we can actually have some fall off with the water. Will that be my island steepness? No. Terrain scale, that's going to do the whole thing. Oh no, that's doing the noise. Single island is what we want. Ooh, ocean depth, that's what we want, beautiful. Yeah, let's pump our ocean down a bit. And what else have we got here? Ocean noise. So that's going to be how messy it is. Yeah, actually that's pretty cool, pumping the noise up there. Beach range. Oh, okay, so that's how far inland the beach goes. Like that. Let's turn the water on. It's a little bit high. I think surface height. No, is it water offset? It's water offset. Okay. That looks okay. I will also just drop a texture on here. Choose one of their presets. It's not what I wanted at all, is it? What I want is this preset, and I'll use one of these just to get some contrast. There's only a couple of these that I actually like the look of. I think I'm going to use the moon one. I quite like this. I think this is good for designing. Like, gives you a really nice look at the erosion and stuff as well, and doesn't distract the eye too much. Turn the sun back up now that I've done that. All right, enough waffling. So if we do this, something like this, it's a pretty good base, I think. That means we can have our character come up, have a combat arena here. Now this is actually going to be pretty big too. Like this is a kilometer, which is a pretty big map. But that lets us have a bit of a, maybe even a combat arena here. And then our character can wander around as much as we want or as little as we want. And then we can maybe build a boss arena up here. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, the terrain's flat enough, so it should be easy enough to put paths up through here. I mean, I can use Jenna to do that anyway, but just to make sure that, for the most part, our character will be able to walk around. Actually, quite, for not having done anything at all other than picking a couple of presets, I actually quite like the look of this island. All right, so let's do some prettying up. Come back to our biome, and I'm not going to mess with the base shape because I actually really like the look of this island. It's got just the right kind of semi-volcanic kind of look that I want. But we will do some filtering just to love the look of that. It's not what I want for this, but it looks so cool. And that's just an awesome moon look. What I probably want, let's just go straight to mountainy stuff. Do you want to do ridged? All right, we'll do ridged. And I'm just going to reduce the effect a bit. All right, that's where it's really kicking in. So I don't want it fully pointy like it defaults to. So what I'm doing here is controlling, these are basically levels of detail. So this one controls the finest detail and this one controls the broadest detail. Obviously this isn't doing much in the broad details at all. We can also limit this by various other things such as height and stuff like that. But I'm going to keep the terrain fairly simple because obviously it's just a game jam. I don't want to spend forever doing something. Quite like that. And I think what I might do is put some sediment in the lower levels. Where is our sediment? I think we'll go with soft. And again, I'm just going to play with settings a bit. Yeah, get rid of some of that. Might just put the general strength down. And I'm also on this one, we will put some distribution rules in. I wonder what the defaults are. I've never actually looked. Oh, okay, so it's just got default. Do mountains, do slopes. That's what I want. I'm going to put a height restriction in here. So it can go down to the beach level and then the maximum. Pull that. Oops. So basically I've taken that sediment off the mountains. So it's as though it's washed, all the dust and stuff is washed down into the base terrain. And we'll blend it so that it looks a little more like it's come off the mountains. And I might also, just to have a look, I'm not sure this is what I want, but let's add some hydraulic erosion. And put that before the sediment. Let's really erode the surface. I want this kind of, I don't know, I just feel like having this kind of draconic look. Like dragons have flown over and like glassed this place. Even though I'm actually going for I'm going to be using a lot of textures that are icy. That's a weird one. Not quite the effect I was going for. Reduce that erosion a bit. See if the water was more fluid. It's more muddy. No, I think that's alright. More in the middle. I like this kind of pointier look that it's giving. I really like these little walls down there. I think that's cool. Let's come back to our sediment and have a bit of a play. Pull it down a bit. Okay, so I think that erosion's flattened this land out a bit. So what I might do is just turn the sediment off for a sec so we can actually see what's going on. And turn the iterations up, which will make it slower but more accurate. Or more not accurate. It's the word I'm looking for. More intense. I think that helps a little bit. Put our sediment back on. Yeah, I think that's better. That's better. Now there's a ton more you can do with World Creator, but I don't think we really need to. Just pop the proper rendering back on for a sec. And come back into the textures. And I will just have a look at it with a different, let's go the snowy one, because that is largely what I'm going to be going for, something like this. I think that looks kind of cool. I'll have less snow on mine. I don't want quite as heavy a snow, but I like it. We've got a good water drop off, which obviously I'm just going to put a collider or something around the outside so you can't walk off the map. I think that's pretty cool for the time being. I think that'll be a nice starter map. Okay, so we can do an export on the height map. Ooh, pardon me, little Indian. panel's fine. I will export normals as well. Flip the Y on those as well. Not going to bother with the splat map because I didn't actually do anything. I think that will do because I'm going to do the actual texturing inside Unity. I shall export those. Have they exported? They have, I don't know where they went. Let's see. Well, let's just see if it'll save them into there. This is something I found funny that, as I say, they've only just released this version. I'll see now it's put it straight onto the desktop. They've only just released the final version of this software, and they've still got a lot of stuff that they need to add that was in World Creator 2. There's my height map. Where's my... Sorry, that's my normal map. What I need is my height map. Oh, I did export selected instead of export all, didn't I? That was silly. Export our height map. Beautiful. Alright, so now we've got our height map and our normal map, and we will save. Save as Game Jam 4 Island. Beautiful. And now we come back to Unity, where we will come back into my project folder, art, terrain, and we will say goodbye to all of this. Goodbye, all of that. And we will get our stuff. Now, come over here. You would think that the OBS thing would let me chat back, but it doesn't seem to. What a silly thing. But yes, I will try and save my stream. I believe YouTube should automatically do it if it's a certain length, but I've only just enabled it on this account, so I'm not 100% sure whether it will. Alright, so something else that I have got in this project is terrain tools, wherever they are hiding in this menu. Terrain toolbox. That's the wrong window. This is what I want. Alright, so terrain toolbox is a Unity tool. It's okay, it kind of works. We're going to create a new terrain. It's going to be 2048. The height, I'm not actually incredibly sure how tall this map ended up. I don't think it's 900. I'll start with 600 and see if that looks decent. Not worried about material at the moment. Height map resolution of 2K is good, so we keep our detail. And we will get our height map, pop that in there, and I'm going to be doing all the texturing and stuff with microsplat, so all I need is my terrain. So if I hit go, In theory, let's have a look at this baby. So you can see how big this train actually is now that it's in Unity. And if I drop down Yieldy Cube, that is it's like right in front of me. That was weird. If we drop down Yieldy Cube, you can see that the train is quite a good size. That is a weird angle. That just looks bizarre. All right, so that is the very basics of getting our world. Now I will get a plane. Actually, I'll just drop in a quad for now. No, I don't want to call it E. I want you to rotate. Let's drop in a quad. Go 0, 0, 0. And make this thing like 1,000 by 1,000. Oh, I made my quad upside down, obviously. No? Where have you gone, quad? Do you not believe in me anymore? Oh yeah, quads are weird. It's because I rotated it 10,000 by 10,000. Alright, beautiful. I'll find an appropriate height. Just going to pretend for the second that this is the water. And this is where our little bay might actually need to. Yeah, I think I need to increase the height on this map. All right, let's try 9,000. Don't be silly. I did it again. Create. Oh, zoom out, you bugger. No, you don't want to zoom out. That's a cool looking runoff there. I probably did just make this too deep. It goes fucking miles underwater. Alright, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's not really important. Why you got to be doing this to me, Unity? Why have we got to be upside down? I don't want to be upside down. Pull this guy back up. If you go onto local coordinates, I feel like you've gone to local coordinates. Believe in me, quad. Yeah, I don't want to put water on land. So what's that? Height of about 700 for the water. And this is where our little landing spot was. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's call that 700. And we will move this across 1024, 1024, so that's actually in the center of the world. And at this point, start actually organizing my hierarchy. think one of the good things to learn from game jams is to organize hierarchies, learning to organize hierarchies, also learning to work with other people, which I've done plenty of in the past in game jams. This one, I thought it's a nice week-long one I want to try soloing. I'll put the directional light in world because that will be our sun for the time being. And so that we can get a bit of a look at what we've got going on there. I'm going to grab, it's just a nice blue sky, not the equidirect one, the normal one. Gizmos, blah, 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 blah. Yep, good. Alright, so the next thing to do is convert this baby to microsplat. We will be doing a microsplat terrain. Convert to microsplat. That will set up our basic texturing. Which won't do anything yet because there are no textures on the terrain for it to pick up. Look at all those console errors that don't mean anything. Get rid of you. And now we've got our microsplat texture. Click on the terrain again and go into the actual texture and select some features. Go with 32 colors. Leave that alone for now. Blend mode. We will use just distance and detail noise. Distance resample both. We'll do geo height later. I'm going to do procedural texturing to start with, and then we'll bake that out later. Want cavity and erosion maps. I probably will use tessellation later, but while we're designing the terrain, we don't need to worry about that. Might actually... I'm going to go for variance. I've never used cluster variance before, so that's something that I'm going to learn. I always like to learn something when I'm doing a game jam, so that's going to be one of the things I'm going to try and learn is using the texture clusters in microsplat. I won't bother adding, I probably will use Vegetation Studio, but I won't bother adding support for it yet. I can always turn those on later. And we will let that compile itself. Oh, that was quick. Nice. All right, so if I remember correctly, it's been a very long time since I've poked at some of these modules at all. We should have prop data. That's the other one. That's our texture configuration. I know what that one does. Diff array, normal SAO. Alright, I think I need to turn on the clusters somewhere in here. Here we go. 3 variation clusters. So basically for each texture, we will have 3 textures. And microsplat will blend them. That's my understanding of how this works. So in my folder here, I've called it terrain triplets. And that's because I have made earlier on, well, from substance I have extracted 3 variations of a few different textures. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to do this or no fast way to do this. Or if there is, I don't know how to do it. So if someone knows something that I don't know, that'd be great. Why don't we have a roughness map? That's silly. How do we have AO and no roughness? Alright, so I might have to go back and export roughness maps for these. Alright, now if I update this, in theory, it should cover our world in grassy, dirty stuff. Hey, grassy, dirty stuff. Obviously the scale on that is a bit off, but that looks good. Looks like the variants actually work. Nice. Happy with that. Alright. Let us come in and we'll go back to the microsplat material itself. Down here somewhere. We'll adjust the UVs. Still needs to be smaller. Still way too big. Alright, if you were a person, oh, that's wrong as well. What did we decide? 900 in the end. Am I going the wrong way? No, I was going the wrong way. It's just not. Obviously, I don't really know how this cluster module works properly yet, so I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how to fiddle with a lot of this stuff. Splats. Oh, what was that? Oh, global UV scale. I don't think that does anything though. Oh, it does. What was I adjusting? I thought that was what I was adjusting. Oh, I'm adjusting the texture clustering scale. Okay, well, I might just put that back to 6 then, because I don't know what that's for. This is the one that I meant to be. Really need those roughness maps. I don't feel like it's very noisy either. I wonder if I've done it wrong. One layer for now. Doesn't look like over here, but that looks plenty noisy. That looks okay. I mean, grimy, but okay. I do wonder if my texture clusters are set up right. I'll probably have to look that up in the manual. Procedural texture. Prop data. I don't know what that one does. I don't know what any of these things do. Don't have a normal. Oh no, that's just the normal. The normal winch one. Cluster mode, three textures. I think that's correct. That's config for the other one. This is the config for this one. What else could I? You know what I do need to do is, no, I don't want to bake procedural terrain, I want to generate cavity map. That's pretty important. I mean, obviously the clustering is working to some extent, because when I adjusted that one parameter earlier, when I adjust this parameter, it does have an effect. So let's try turning these up again. I assume that'll just noise it up some more. Might need to just remove how much, or reduce how much dirt is in these as well. Noise boost. Oh yes, it reduces the blending there. It doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. So I'm guessing one of my textures must be pretty dusty. What I should do is get rid of all these microsplats that aren't actually anything to do with this map. These are all from the old one. Anything that doesn't have a 1 on it. Hopefully I didn't just kill something. No, I killed something. That's alright. That's alright. What else can go wrong? Nothing. Alright, let's start again. I just want to get rid of all that now. You can all go. All of you. Okay, you. I forgot to turn the cavity back on. Procedural cavity. Right, regenerate that. Lovely. Sync it, and now come in and actually meant to do this one, which is my meadows. I'll just pop that in and see if that gets rid of our purple texture issue. No, we've still got a lovely purple texture. Let's do a micro splat, regenerate all arrays. No, still no good. Try regenerate shader. Snakes, haven't done anything. Oh, micro splat. Well, you got to be a butt sometimes. Alright, so we'll try the old enter play mode, exit play mode trick. Because sometimes it's just Unity being dumb. Yep, it's Unity being dumb. Should always remember to do that first before blaming Microsplat for everything. Alright, so we are back in business, but we only have a single texture now. That's okay, because we know what we're doing. Alright, I will fix that stuff up off stream. Now let's go back in here to our various configs and arrays. So we want the cluster mode 3 variations. Come back to our meadow and put in the other maps. What did I miss for that one? AO occlusion. Normal height and occlusion. Hit updato. Okay, beautiful. Now let's come back in and readjust some of those scale parameters. Get that looking a bit better. Yeah, I don't know what all this brown nonsense is about. Because you can get something that looks pretty nice just using stochastic instead of variance. What I also need to do, I think, is Meadow. Grab all of you. Say you're allowed to be 4K. And don't need any alpha. Turn your anisotropy up. So the anisotropy just gives it a better filtering over distance, which you'll often see in video games. If you notice sometimes when you go across a floor or whatever, you'll see a little sort of band in the distance of where the texture gets nicer. That's the anisotropic filtering. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about these texture arrays. I'll come back and look at that later. I think I'll turn them off for the second, because I really don't understand how they work. I don't think there's any point wasting time trying to figure it out right now. I've got a week. That can definitely be in the make it look better phase when I've got time toward the end. For now, let's just basically get this thing textured up with the basics and go from there. So we'll get some sand. Nice cliff. Now, I may not use all of these, but I've prepared them just in case. Some lovely rocks to go around the coast. Ooh, this one does have a metallic map. I wonder if I had the settings wrong at some point and then changed them in my exporter. Did you have a... You do have a metallic as well. Even if they're basically blank, you have a metallic too. So maybe most of them do actually have metallic maps. What about my grass? Do my grass... meadow. My meadow does have a metallic. Okay. So what are you? Your coastal rock. Who's next? Or cobble path when we put our trails in. Normal. And occlusion. Cliffside. Normal. Occlusion. I know it's exciting to watch, isn't it? Oh yeah. It's like I just did the same one again. No, that's the wet variation. Got some ice here in case I want to put some ice down, which I may do instead of having water. I might just use ice. Here's some pretty sexy ice. Then we've got some ice with snow on it. So these textures were all created. I did them earlier today. I say created. I didn't really make them. They are substances from Substance Painter / Designer / already got Meadow, don't we? They're all just substances from Substance Source, which is, I guess, Adobe Now's Substance library. They're ones that I have acquired over the years through my various subscriptions. Unlike the Megascans textures I was using when I was playing around yesterday, I do have licenses for these, so these I could actually use in a project. And that was just a matter of going into Substance, what do they call it now, Substance Sampler, and basically putting me in, making some adjustments, like making the 3 variants using random seeds, and in a couple of cases just mixing a couple of different things together. So like the ice is just an ice substance, and the ice with snow is the ice substance, and this snow substance I've used down here, it's just been layered on top. And again, just some random seeds and playing around with some settings just to get some variations. Because variations are cool. Alright, here's our last one, the volcanic sand. Height. Normal. Occlusion. So again, yeah, I didn't really make these. I just kind of fiddled with them and extracted them from substances, because I don't like using substances directly in Unity. Though they have just released a new Substance plugin for Unity, so hopefully that works better than the last one did, because the last one was not particularly good, very prone to crashing and causing errors. But I don't think week-long game jam is the time to start playing with a whole new workflow that might also be full of bugs, especially because I am running in the latest Unity 2021.2 version 14. So I'm using a cutting edge version of Unity. That's because Game Creator 2 will only run in a 2021.2 version. And also if I want to use something like Fluffy for fur at some point, that will also only run in a 2021.2 version. Hopefully this won't take too much longer. That's why I tend to, when I work with Microsplat, basically always do as much as you can at the same time, because you're going to end up recompiling. Now, to be fair though, if I had done, oh look, it's thrown some shade in. If I had done less at once, like the compile would be shorter, but I would then sort of have to do the compile over and over and over again. You know what I should do is save this scene as, we'll just call this island, but without capital letters. All right, beautiful. Okay, so now we can go back into the Microsplat texture and start looking at putting in some levels. So I'm going to change what our base is. Either to one of the sands or the coastal rocks, maybe. That's the coastal rocks, there it is. Yeah, maybe the coastal rock, because it's wet. pretty gross though, isn't it? I should maybe not have that. Probably maybe not have had that water, that red in there. Looks a bit weird. How is our black sand? Sand is weird and cool. All right, I think we'll use this sand. All right, so that can be our base texture for the whole place. And then I think what we will do is go from that into the volcanic sand. We'll pop a height curve on there. Go the other way. Of course we go the other way. Silly boy. I wonder if I've got my height wrong. You should be somewhere. Cannot be that high. That's just... Oh, yeah, didn't adjust the world height. That's probably why. I'll hopefully make that make a bit more sense. Come on. It's around here somewhere. Alright, there we go. So I want that, but I'm backwards. Alright, that looks kind of alright for a beachy. I mean, still it's a pretty big beach compared to our little cube man. But it'll do for now. Okay, and that can stay as just a base level as well. Now we'll start putting in some I know what I did. I know what I did. I know why it's being silly. Alright. It's these ones. I just realised that I had a brain fart. And I put metallic maps in these and inverted them rather than putting roughness maps and inverting them. So I've basically just made all of those perfectly smooth, which is not what they should be at all. So as I was saying before, now we're going to regenerate this array, which will take us some time again. So ideally we wouldn't do this, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to need to go back to sampler and export roughness maps, but I will do that off stream because sampler is not exactly stable. So I'd rather not be running anything that I don't need to run while running sampler. And I'm going to have to export a whole bunch of stuff, and it's going to get upset at me. It's going to be it's going to be a whole thing. It's nothing you need to hear me swearing about. Beautiful. So that's got rid of our horrible shininess, which I do want some shininess because some of these things are actually reflective textures. And I still don't like this. The resolution of these seems really low. Even at 2048, they should still look better than this. So I wonder if... I mean, it says they're a 2048 texture. I just feel like maybe they've exported badly for some reason. Like you can barely even tell... You barely even tell it's got a normal map on it. Obviously it's there, it's just not... It's not really doing much. We are using stochastic sampling. Try planar and see if that makes much difference. This will affect the scale, but yes, even that potentially looks like it's got better normals on it, like more normal on it. Oh, why do I still have texture clustering options when I've turned texture clustering off? That's interesting. Yeah, even in triplanar, it doesn't really seem to have any more depth to it. Look, at the moment, again, it doesn't really matter. We're just getting a look at the moment. Alright, so the point of this cliff texture is obviously to put some cliff. So, where are we? Procedural texturing. So we'll use a slope here. Alright, I'm just going to duplicate this one and switch it over to the coastal rocks. Pardon me. I might widen it out a bit. So it's got a bit more effect on the coast, but we're also going to throw a height map on this one. Because we don't want it up here. Only want it down here. Alright, at this point I might turn the tessellation on. Just do some mild tessellation. That is a bit more than mild, I feel. So shiny. Yeah, that's a good basics, I think. You're going to want to do some stuff in here. And we've got these bad boys, which are a bit taller. So, let's go back into our procedural, put in a new one. Let's just wax snow on these mountains for the second. Do a bit of that. Some noise to break it up. And then I'm going to put a cavity. Put a high pass, not a low pass. I just realised something. Could be, no, not detail resolution. here. Update our cavity data. Still not super happy. Alright, we'll duplicate that one again. Put the melting snow on here. Part of it might just be how much I've messed with the UVs. Theoretically, it should do nothing, but it is doing something. Why would it do anything? These should not do anything. Should they? I don't know. I don't feel like they should be doing anything. Oh, why do I have 2 copies of that? That's not right. Wait, why has it replaced my snow with other snow? I don't know. I've done something silly, obviously. Alright, well, again, we'll call that a let's not worry about it for the time being. Alright, so we've got a bit of snow. Let's look at adding some grass. Okay, so for the grass, what I'm going to do is only allow the grass where it's quite flat. And that should give us a nice, largely distributed in the central areas for the grass. And we'll put some noise on it just to break it up some more. We'll just take it out of any big cavities. I'm just going to take a quick look at my textures themselves. Details. Yeah, I exported them at 4K. They look pretty nice. All right. Yeah, I'm going to figure out what's going on here. I wonder if it's because I turned on the texture clustering and then turned it off if it's done something weird. Because I feel like... So let's try turning it to none for a second. So yeah, this should look all ugly and tiled, which it does. It's what we want to see right now. Just let's try to say there's no texture clustering or anything listed there. We turn our stochastic on, the texture clustering does appear again. Huh, I guess I've just never noticed that before. The other thing I wanted to here, tessellation. Pop that out to 60. Fairly happy with the other basic settings for the second. Crank that baby up a bit. Not at all happy with my snow. Feels like it's just not. It feels like it's not high res enough. How many textures do I have? 12. So 60 is probably the... 12 is a setting. Oh, now it's telling me I've got more. Alright. Missing middle array. think that's okay for a basic terrain. And I'm getting tired, so I think I'm going to call it a night there. I'll probably do a bit more work in the morning, and I might explore the rest of those textures. I'll see you sometime tomorrow.